It's 10:25 here on the East Coast. Welcome to Twitchline, your home for relationship advice here on Twitch. We're going to be doing something different today because it is Thursday. Joining me as always is my co-caster and best friend. It is Mr. Acorn. How you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. My
only okay?
neighbors just decided to smoke some weed and it's blowing through the window, so this is something interesting.
Smoke some weed, drink some wine. That's isn't that what they do? It's that's
the neighbors? Most certainly.
As if you are a person out there who does imbibe on the weed, it is, a little considerate if you close your windows, Try to see if you have one of those things that takes the smoke in so that other people don't have to smell it. Sometimes people are a little bit uncomfortable. So, sharing is caring. There is that. But sometimes it is unnecessary to share your weed. So, but everyone, welcome to Twitchline. As always, you can contact us here via our email address at twitchlinelove@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at Twitchline. We are also streaming live onto YouTube. So for those on YouTube, hello everyone, how are you doing? You can find us on YouTube by searching Twitchline Love Relationship Advice. You'll find our channel there and our record of all the streams that we've done. You can watch all of our older shows. Just go and click the subscribe button so that you know when we go live, and you can follow us via YouTube also. And if you want to take us on the go, we're available on SoundCloud. Just search Twitchline on SoundCloud. You'll see all of our most recent shows that we have done. Today's a different bit of Twitchline because it is indeed Freeform Thursday. So we are going to be talking about anything. Anything that comes to mind at all. And this is the day that I consider that is a bit of a catch-all day. For anyone who doesn't know, we usually have topics that we normally talk about. Sometimes we actually will talk about things that maybe we didn't mention on our Wednesday show, but we actually got to our bonus coverage, unlike normally when we actually go really, really long on our three topics. But yesterday we actually did get to the topic that we had wanted to bring up for a couple of weeks. So Tim, we're bone dry.
That's okay though, because like you said, we tend to get into our conversations and the clock no longer exists, and we just want to, dig deeper and deeper and deeper. So I don't think it's a problem, actually. I think it's pretty good, especially for people who are looking for not just topical surface kind of advice, but people who actually care and are willing to go that deep. So I'm good with it. I am glad, though, that we got that one because that was pretty funny, and I was excited about it.
Yes, for a bit of advice for the people that are out there, one letter in your Reddit posts can really, really sort of take that into a whole new direction. So always be careful into what you type with regards to your topic, because you can change the body of your submission post, but you can't change the topic name, which I always found sort of weird. Like if you're dealing with Reddit and you do make an error like that, I mean, why can't you edit it? It seems to me that it's a bit unfair.
Yeah. Especially if you're, whatever, if you're talking about your sports team and how well it's done, it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake. This is people looking for advice, and some people are very serious, some people are sharing very intimate things, scary things, they're hurt, they are looking for something, and if they make a mistake on the keyboard, and then that has to just sit there, it could interfere, like with this person yesterday's problem. It took a lot of trolls before you actually got to real advice for him. So, the internet's going to be the internet. People are shitty, but we can at least, it would be nice if Reddit recognized that and allow people to change their titles.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like the trolls will be trolls, but when they finally got down to it, there was some helpful advice that was being doled out eventually when people got off that topic a little bit. So it was just one of those things. Everybody does get distracted, so that happens sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is life. Have you been following all this craziness in the news? And
Are you talking about
I mean, I
Senor
don't know. We don't really want to go.
El Presidente?
Yeah.
Yeah.
El Trumpo. Yes.
El
I
Trumpo.
don't think we need to go. We don't need to go like crazy political here because there are plenty of people on Twitch doing that. But I just think it's almost impossible to disconnect yourself these days. No matter what way you connect to the internet on your phone, computer, even if you actively avoid news sites, it still shows up. It shows up on your Instagram. It shows up on Facebook. I mean, like, you just cannot escape it. And it is ever persistent. 24 hours a day, rammed down your throat. Sensationalism. And it's just so tiresome. I remember living abroad and not having to deal with it in the same way every day. And it was easier then. Being here back home, it's just tough.
Well, the thing about it is that there are a lot of people who are unable to, quote, disconnect. You know, you and I come from a different generation. We're slightly older. So therefore, it's one of those things where we're used to not necessarily being bombarded with information all the time. Whereas this current generation, like, you know, they get their news from Twitter and from phone updates, letting them know what the heck is going on. They'll get an update and, you know, somebody has passed away or died. The Nancy Pelosi announces impeachment proceedings against El Trumpo. Things like that, and they're just always like, oh my god, did you see that? It's like we came from a generation where if we went on vacation 5 days later, stuff would happen and we didn't even know about it. I went on vacation one time and came home and an airline didn't exist anymore. I was like, where the hell did that airline go? It's like, well, they went out of business while you were gone. It's like, really? They're gone? So it's like, I took a flight to Indonesia on TWA, and when I came home, the airline that I flew out to Indonesia on didn't exist anymore. That would be unheard of. And I didn't even know they went under. Like, you know, the news didn't get to me. Yeah. So it was like, if I had nowadays, I could be connected wherever I go, and I would have known instantly if I would have landed in Indonesia, TWA goes bankrupt. I was like, whoa. Oh, wait, what? This was when I was a little kid. It happened twice because I left one time and Pan Am was gone. For anybody who knows what Pan Am is, it's another airline in America.
You're kind of like the cooler of airlines.
I am.
When you travel to Indonesia, everyone that runs an airline should be afraid.
Well, that's what happens, right? Remember when we went on vacation, like, I was afraid that United was not going to be there anymore. And like something like that sort of happened because Continental got bought up by them. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. You have a curse. You can use your power wisely.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like there are plenty of airlines that I hate. One of them is United Airlines. They suck. I know that you are not a big fan of Asiana Airlines, if I remember right.
Dude. Yeah. I fought with that company for the better part of a year over what would have been $800.
Mm-hmm.
But it was important money to me at that time. And they basically just like screwed me out of my seat and didn't want to, made me buy a full fare ticket at the last possible moment. Otherwise, everything would have been screwed up.
That's right. So, they would have stranded you in like Korea or something like that, right?
No, it was China.
It was China. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I had to, you should remember this because I had to be at the airport in Las Vegas to meet you.
That's right.
You were the first person I saw when I came back from China. And when I landed on that flight, that Asiana flight, I had to stay on the flight an extra hour and something because I locked down the airport because there was an active shooter in the airport on that day. and you were trying to find me, and I didn't have a phone. This is like insanity.
Yeah, like I waited at like the baggage claim trying to figure out what it was. I think I ran into you by accident in like outside of the airport.
Right.
And I was like, holy
I
crap.
was just sitting there. Yeah, and like I don't even know that you knew what was going on.
No.
You're just like, I don't know, something crazy.
Yeah, I just got into LA. We ended up going to an anime convention, right? While you were waiting to come back from like trying to figure out.
My first time in Vegas, and lots of interesting new experiences for me. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, but like the fallout of that stupid airline is insane. So it's like Asiana is part of the Star Alliance, which is part of what what United Airlines is part of, and they suck. So if you have a choice to go to Korea Air, please. My mother swears by them. Yeah. She loves them.
Yeah, I don't know who I took last time I went to Korea, but yeah, pleasant. It was a pleasant time, pleasant experience. Lovely country.
Mm-hmm.
My wife goes crazy about Korea because of how great and cheap their makeup stuff is. So, it's good to be a girl over there, I guess.
The thing about it is, I've always kept saying it's like Emily would make a great blogger for makeup because she knows so much about so many things. Because it's such a like people are so into it. Like makeup is one of those things that like people. It's almost like a hobby for people. It's sort of crazy.
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah. And as she does it, she actually does it, but in a very controlled way and a very exactly the way she wants to do it. Mm-hmm. So like, if it were a thing where people were trying to pay her to support one brand or another, she would instantly be disinterested and walk away from it. So she does it her way. She's got some followers and she's updates her stuff all the time. It's cute, but it is like it's like a musician who likes to play, mm-hmm. but the second they have to play as a way of making money and like a job, instantly turned off. So that's her hobby.
That happens. That happens indeed. Like the thing about it is like, if you are a hobbyist and it turns into your job, there is that happy period where, oh my God, like, I'm doing what I love and this is absolutely fantastic and this is going to be great. The real problem with that is that once it stops being a job, it really does become a real problem. Because now something that you used to go to as a way of relaxing is no longer a thing that you go to relax. You instead are now worrying about how much money I can make doing this, or like what is going to go on with regards to this, because and you become even more engrossed in it. And if you don't, you stop enjoying it. I think it's a shame because you end up like losing that sort of getaway that you had in that particular hobby. I've seen it in a lot of people. It happens to a lot of people, and it starts off good, but then it doesn't end well, and I feel sad for that. So I can understand where Emily's coming from when she when that happens. So makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's good to have. I think. Okay, so for example, our thing here, right? We make no money from this. Mm-hmm. We do this because we enjoy it. We actually were doing this with each other, sitting eating dinner half the time.
Correct.
And just decided instead of telling each other advice that we would give other people, we'll get on here and we'll share it with the masses. And hey, but here's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. If this were very popular and generated subscribers and generated income, and it was still able to be run the way we like to do it, the way we naturally do it, then I think it would not seem like it wouldn't escape to another realm that was uncomfortable and bothersome and take the joy out of it. I think I would still enjoy just as much and enjoy the fact that there was money coming in. But, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, yeah.
It can just be a side hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. But, the dynamic also changes, too. We both would become a little bit more serious with regards to how we would want to do it.
Well, more time investment, but, our personalities wouldn't necessarily change. I mean, we might be like, And this piece of advice is brought to you by Red Bull.
Actually, I would try to see if I could get Audio Technica to sponsor us. Love them. Love them
Just to
headphones.
Get some ears, yeah.
That's right. I'm wearing ATs right
lose.
now on my ears. If anybody's noticing, I don't. I used to have an AT mic, but I turned it back in because it didn't really sound that great. But they have really high. I actually have an AT headset that I use, so they're my favorite audio company at the moment. So
yeah, I'm looking at a beautiful mic here. I still have not set it up. I have this great stuff that my dad gave me. He's a amateur radio guy and has amazing equipment and has supported me by giving me some. And it's just here gathering dust so far. So
absolutely.
I need to get off my butt and put it together.
Well, that is what the weekend is for, sir.
Tomorrow night.
That's exactly right.
Watch some football and
casting.
Bam. Hey,
there goes my mic.
Crap.
Sorry.
Yeah.
See, my mic fell out of the mic stand. So, what we could do is we could be the radio program that casts the hockey game. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Oh yeah, dude. No, I couldn't do it. I'd be cursing and saying horrible things all the time. Although there might be an audience for that, so maybe.
That's right. We don't actually project. We don't actually show the game because we wouldn't have the permissions to do it. But what we do is we talk around what is going on, like sportscasters, and it's just us in the living room talking about the game.
I bet you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many gamer kids are also interested in football, but it might be worthwhile.
Well, they've started doing that. Like Twitch has actually hired big streamers. Tim the Tatman is actually supposed to be streaming the Eagles-Packers game right now as a streamer, just talking about what he thinks about what's going on in the game. So they've started actually doing it. It's called party streaming. So what you're doing is you're showing the game and then adding your own commentary to the streams. I did it for the Anime Awards, where I was with my friend Rangrith, and we were talking about the nominations and what the content that they were showing, which is complete crap. But we were allowed to stream it and then basically be the announcers associated with it. So it was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So it's fun.
What would be kind of cool also is if you could tie it together where you're on here, you're streaming, you're talking about the game that's going on, but then other people could have their parties and have a camera streaming their parties, and you could bring up their screens of their parties and talk to them as well.
Oh yeah, that would be really neat. Exactly. So they're also streaming it, and you basically get together and then end up doing something together, which would be nice. I know that Twitch has been trying weird shit like that in order for them to get sort of more viewers and in a way incorporate technology to be more involved, let's say.
Well, at the point that bandwidth can handle all of it, you can do some pretty amazing stuff. It's just the more people you involve, and in this kind of situation, there's going to be alcohol, and there's going to be, for college students, there's going to be debauchery.
Yes.
And if there are TOS issues with that, then it would fail pretty quickly.
No, you're probably right.
I know what I did in college. I'm definitely right. As a matter of fact, if we're looking for sponsors, I think I would have to find a sponsor for pants because I'm not wearing any pants right now, and I think I'd like to be wearing pants during these streams. Just a little bit of personal information here.
Yeah, wearing pants would be necessary. I found, I was telling you, I found some great pants to wear for casting. So I found some great casting pants. Oh, I just almost beat a 42 mage who was trying to kill me in 1,000 Needles. It's very sad. For those who are interested and want to see me die, the screen is up, and I'm now at the graveyard at the Great Lift, because apparently it's under attack. But I almost got a 42 mage, and I'm only level 35, because that mage was sad. Oh. But for those who this is Twitch, so you know that gaming is something that all of us love. Well, currently my current addiction is split between Overwatch and classic WoW. Those who know the drug that is MMOs, Mr. Acorn and I have played WoW ever since it came out, right? I mean, like we
Well,
were
not like
not continuously.
unbroken.
Yeah, not continuously. That belongs to our friend, who got himself a crazy trophy for playing continuously for what was it, like 15
Hey,
years.
listen, you gotta. His girlfriend has a name. You don't need to call her.
Well, the thing is heavy and it sits on his desk.
Again, dude, you're going too far.
No, but
Dude, if he listens to this, he's gonna kick my.
she's gonna kick your ass. But
It's possible too.
we make fun of one of our friends who has a tendency to play too much WoW, to the point where he was missing birthdays of other friends and would stay indoors and would go raiding instead of socializing, which we found not necessarily the greatest trait in the world, but he loved the game of WoW. I was like, okay, it's a very social game. He's gone to a lot of meetups and he's met members of his guild, and stuff like that. But it is one of those things in which we do make fun of him for his addiction of the game. But the thing about it is like you're sort of making fun of yourself at the same time, because here I am talking to you guys, understanding that WoW is one of those games that is very addictive, very fun, and there's a lot of lore associated to it that makes it very interesting. And especially because now the way that MMOs have sort of gone now, everybody is given that immediate gratification. Quests are not necessarily as hard as they used to. People have guides to basically do whatever the hell you want. I mean, you've ranted to me a couple times about how retail WoW is just, to a point sometimes just to really a game that is just like, there's really no challenge in it all. People can get free loot at this point. But classic WoW still has that weird little appeal of the fact that it is a game that is ridiculously still hard. It's a giant time sink because it's not like you can just get to places at any time you want. And it forces you to socialize, which is also something that I think a lot of current MMOs don't necessarily make you do.
I don't know. I haven't really played other games, especially other MMORPGs.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the new thing is everything needs to come fast, easy, and a lot of things. If you pay extra, you don't want to throw money at it, you can improve your experience, pay to win kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I don't know, seems weak to me. I'm old school, so.
Well, that's the thing, right? We grew up in an age where the original NES games that we would have to deal with were so freaking hard that it was an achievement if you were able to get past stages, not beat the game, stages. There were games that were really literally designed that would make you want to destroy your controllers because they were abnormally hard, but it was a badge of honor to finish those games like a boss if you were able to do so. Games like Wizards and Warriors, for example. Hard-ass game. That game was freaking impossible. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original by Ultra Games. That game, if you've ever watched the Angry Nintendo Nerd YouTube show, goes into that game about how a terrible game it is, but it is also one of the hardest games ever created on Nintendo. So it is just one of those things that it's like if you were able to get the what is it, the turtle van, you got way farther than I ever did in that game. So
did you ever play Ghouls and Ghosts?
No. I rented it once and then I realized that this game completely sucked because there was no way I was ever going to survive in this game. That was another hard game.
That was a killer. I cried to that game as a child.
You did?
Yeah, that was tough.
I mean, isn't that the game where the armor would get pierced off of you like a little bit at a time, and then you would end up like naked or something like that? Or is that Wizards and Warriors?
Yeah. So that was that. I don't remember if you could take if it was maybe it was like 2 hits and you're dead. If you got the armor, it would add 1 more, so you could have 3 hits and you're dead. But no, and you had a limited number of continues, and then you had to go back and start over.
Yeah,
and it was just horrible.
And that's the thing, right? Like you only had so many continues, and if you ran out of those continues, no matter where you are, you were donezo. There was nothing else that you could do about it, and that's it. It's like that would be unacceptable in game design today. It's just like
now it's hand holding.
Yeah, it's like they're soft, Tim. They're soft.
Yeah,
and that's
you gotta pluck your titty out the boy's mouth and let him be a man.
Yeah, take your titty out his mouth. For those who don't know that reference, that is from a movie called Major Payne, starring Damon Wayans. It is one of the comedies that he did in the 90s that is hilarious and never gets its due because he's playing this ridiculous, like, cartoony, major in the military. But the way that he treats his sort of the kids that he's looking after is just ridiculously brutal. Like, no mercy at all. He does care about them, but man, he runs them through the gauntlet. Recommendation for those new generation people who have never seen that movie.
Yeah, go see it. I mean, you're gonna be like unhappy about how cinematography looked at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but the jokes are real. They're still there. They're strong. They will make you laugh.
Yeah, and they are hilarious.
So, do you see that we have our lifelong childhood friend here in the chat?
Really? Is that true?
Yeah. It's true. He's hanging out with us, right?
Oh, he is hanging out to this. Oh, hello, Mr. Lifelong. I heard he was. Is it true? Tabletop D&D is going to be on the schedule for you as an activity. Because if that's going to happen, I'm very happy. Because that is something that I myself have never really done. My friend Nico tried to get me to play D&D at his house, and I did it once, and I just never really got into it. But so many people enjoy it, and hell, Minnie James, our friend who owns a store in where the hell is it? It's just outside of Roanoke, right? That's his nickname. Owns a store that caters to role-playing games, tabletop games, and like Warhammer 40K. And he's turned it into his like thing. There's a guy, and it goes back to what we were originally talking about, is taking something that you love and turning it into a career. And our friend has actually turned his love of tabletop gaming into a career where he now owns a store and runs games on the weekends and stuff like that. So like, he's working like 24/7 though, which is sort of crazy, but
again, it's like what we were talking about earlier. When you love something, it doesn't feel like work. And as long as you can keep it in that realm of you enjoying it, it doesn't take you into an area that you're uncomfortable with or get out of your hands. Like, he still controls it because he owns it. So
yeah,
he's good.
No, yeah, he's great. And, he's enjoying himself, and that's fantastic. And, he's, the thing about him is like, as we talk about him a little bit, he is he was always an odd duck. I remember, he was the first one to get like a real job out of all of our friends when we were in college. It was our junior year, if I remember right. So we were all living in these brand new apartments that had just gotten built, and he didn't really like the curriculum, didn't like classes and stuff like that. So he sort of dropped out, but he was very smart and ended up getting a very decently paying job in the area where we were going to college. And he was the first to be able to just afford luxuries that we found sort of amazing and yet odd at the same time. We went to the liquor store and ended up spending, it must have been like $700 on alcohol. And he didn't really.
Bought a full bar.
He bought a full bar at once.
Bought a full bar of alcohol.
Yeah.
We went and looked it up. All the bottles that possibly be at a bar, any bar you go to, and he bought it all at once.
Oh, he bought it all at once. And the thing about it is there were two things that I at the time didn't know. Was that one, that people absolutely do this at a time, because we went into the ABC store to buy all of this alcohol, and immediately the guy was like, you just built a bar, huh? It's like, yeah. How'd you know? It's like, this happens all the time. And like people just come in and buy all sorts of stuff to do this. The problem is that our friend did not have an actual bar. He had an office cabinet. So what he did is he put all the alcohol in this like square cabinet and locked it. Which probably was actually a good thing. But it wasn't really a bar, because it sat in the living room, and you wouldn't think, like, looking at it, you would think it was just like a cabinet where you put like papers or like, little things. When you open it up, it was just a complete, like, all the way into the back, just a shelf full of alcohol. It was amazing.
Yeah, and he did open it up, and he was generous in that he shared with
his with his
roommates and the neighbors.
With his poor roommates.
The problem is, people would take advantage of that kindness, and he'd end up with empty bottles and no one saying, "I got you, bro. I'll hook it back up."
Yeah, and that is the problem when you have a job and you live with poor college students. Things like that happen.
Ingrates.
Those ingrates are some of our best friends now. Thank you very much.
Because they're so close, I can say this stuff about them.
Yeah, but those were the days, man. Speaking of, like, because that bar was abused during football games, or lead-ups into football games, because we really loved watching football at the time. And the thing is, it was pretty much tradition to get happy with all of that alcohol and watch our team destroy people. And it was great. Our team is no longer that great now, which is sad. But they play tomorrow at 7 o'clock on ESPN for those interested in watching.
Yeah, gotta support them even in the bad years. But good while we were there, man. That's some of the wildest times I've had.
Oh, yeah. So, that is great. Our friend is saying, remember Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with the codes to come back to your last match. Yes, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, also a very, very hard game. But I have watched something called speed running. Do you know what speed running is, Tim?
Is this like a drug thing kids are doing these days?
No. Well...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The game thing where they try to go as fast as possible.
That's right. That is correct. And I've seen people speed run Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I saw a guy beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out blindfolded. I had never seen anything like that before. This is a game where I could never get past
scripted,
Bald
right?
Bull. Yeah, the whole game is scripted. That was something I figured out later, because you're supposed to look for signals and things in the game. So this dude put on a blindfold on stream and beat it without even looking at it, because he knew what he should be doing as soon as the fight started. It was one of the more amazing things I had ever seen. And it was, as a gamer, you just sort of have to appreciate it, but you're also amazed at the fact that some guy is able to do this.
Yeah, it's like the guys that complete the Rubik's Cube with blindfolds on, or one in each hand. It just basically, these people just do the stuff enough that it becomes second nature.
Correct.
And I guess that's cool. However you want to spend your time. But at the end though, what do you do with that?
With that skill?
Really, yeah, it's only going to get you like positive attention from people who do that thing or care about that thing. So I guess you could be the coolest guy at the Rubik's Cube fan club. But
Well,
it's just weird. It's a huge time investment for something that sort of discreet.
No, it's funny you say that, is because I've had this conversation with my dad. When I used to play a lot of video games, my father would see me playing, and my Nintendo was the TV that I would watch was set up in my mom and dad's room, so therefore I could only do what I wanted to do on that television. So I would play Nintendo games on that television until I was forced to go to bed. And my father would have this discussion, the same exact discussion with me. It's like, what good is it for you to be good at this when all you're going to impress are your stupid friends?
I love you too, Dad.
So, and it's like that was his logic. It's like, well, what the hell is the point of you playing these games if there's nothing that can come out of it? What can you do? And it was just hilarious to listen to it. But it's basically what you're saying. It's like, this Rubik's Cube, the guy who did it blindfolded, the guy who speed runned Mike Tyson's Punch Out. It's like, your audience is limited. It's like, how do you turn this into a money-making venture? And now,
these days you can.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Yeah.
Worldwide audience. You got things like Twitch, where, if there are millions of people that play this game and they're all spread out on their own, they can get on Twitch and watch someone who's really good at it play it, and then there it is. You got your support.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Like, my dad, unfortunately, passed away of cancer a long time ago, and he would be, I don't know if he would be horrified, but I think he would just wouldn't understand, because like there was a time in which he played Atari games and he liked it, but I don't think that generation even still gets the fact that you can make a ridiculous amount of money a month by being good at a video game now, because you can now show off those same skills to an audience that is, hundreds of thousands of members large. Those members also are willingly to contribute money to basically follow your career. You stream other games, even games you're not good at, just because they like you and who you are, in order to watch.
That still involves a skill. Okay, me and the guy in our chat here does it. We have lamented the fact that there are people out there that all they do, their skill is to sit and watch videos on YouTube. You're watching someone watch something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's entertainment for some people. And like, I get it. Like, seeing someone react crazily to, something funny or something wild, that's fine. But like, there are some people that don't have any personality. They just sit there, and still they have subscribers that watch them just look at a video and be like, okay, cool, well, hit the like button and I'll watch something else. You tell me what to watch and I'll watch it.
Well, the mukbang is the same thing. You know what mukbang is, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's like, tell the people. Tell them what it is.
Oh, well, mukbang, for those who don't know what that is basically watching people eat. So imagine here, I'm going to move my mic here just a little bit. I am on stream right now, and I have a bowl or a plate, and the camera is just focused on me eating whatever the hell it is that I'm eating, and you're listening to me chew.
Dude, I will kill myself.
And that's all they do. All they do is talk and eat. And they could be eating spicy noodles. They could be eating octopus. Mukbang has taken an extreme turn, because there are now people who are eating extreme things like balut. For those who don't know what that is, it is disgusting. It is partially not fermented. Like, it's an egg. It's an egg in the Philippines that has semi-developed the yolk inside to become a chicken, but it's not fully developed, so it's like half developed and half not. And the whole point of it is to eat the insides, like swallow it whole in one shot. It is gross. Watching it makes me want to vomit. But I heard it's the texture of it that is just horrific, because it's not completely like gooey, as like the beaks sometimes start to develop, and oh, it's just
Boy, you nasty.
there are tons of things in this world that like it just make me gag, and that was one of them. Like I saw, what is it, Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, Mr. World Traveler, the dude that has the job that I've wanted all of my life. He went to the Philippines and ate it, and it was almost like it was nothing to him, and I never understood like how do you do that? Because I would have just been throwing up everywhere. It's just, oh God. And there are other foods like that around the world that will just ridiculously make you gag. And now these are the topics of mukbangs. So there was one guy that ate, what is it, strawmen? The fermented Icelandic fish that is just smells ridiculously bad. When you were in Iceland, did you have any of that stuff?
Hell no, man. I mean, okay, so I'm talking like this is so offensive to me. I mean, when I lived in China, they have something called smelly tofu.
Yeah,
and
which is good, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't want to eat it, but I guess I had a bite of it or whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't taste good enough to deal with how bad it smelled. And I definitely had a lot of stuff on my plate that I tried that 99% of the world would be like, no, thank you. Well, I guess I can't say that considering what percentage of the world are Chinese. But statistics aside, it's okay for people to explore their food and to eat things on a dare and things like that. I just don't know that it is something I would like log in to watch regularly.
I think people just watch it. I think some people just watch it for the I guess it's almost like a high, almost, right? Like, just watching these crazy people eat things that there would be no way in hell you would ever touch. And it's like, I don't know if I want to eat that. And just by doing it is just a thrill to them. So, okay. Great. It's just not for me. Like my mother complains about how I am not like very like if I had to choose between traditional Indonesian food in most cases and American food, I will always go for the American food most of the time because it is just quicker and just easier to eat, and it offends my mother to no end. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just there are just certain things that I think people just get a thrill out of. I think that is one of them. I mean, I enjoy watching people go around the globe and trying stuff. Like, what's that Canadian dude that goes around? The guy that can speak Chinese. That theoretically you could have his job if you spoke Chinese as well as he did. Where he just goes around and like walks around China, haggling with people, making Chinese like shocked because he speaks decent enough Chinese to get around.
I don't know that. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like but
and his Chinese isn't that. It's okay, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
I'm saying this like I don't have that YouTube channel because I didn't do that, but it's very easy to do wacky stuff over in China.
Mm-hmm.
Like just walking down the street could be entertainment for some people. But it is just very interesting, the people that end up becoming popular doing these things, because they have something that gets people to show up, and it's a personality factor, or it's a way that they engage the world around them. But it's very interesting. If you just randomly click on the IRL streamers, you can see some really interesting stuff, and you can also see people that have just no business being on the internet.
Yes.
They just should turn it off and then go find another job.
So there's this guy who does cooking videos. And he didn't intend to do cooking videos, but his style of doing cooking videos was completely different from what is on YouTube. So he basically did it his own way, and all he does is he basically, as the video starts, there's no introduction, there's no hey, this is your chef, blah blah blah, we're gonna be doing this, and none of that. So he just basically goes in and is like, I want to eat a steak, this is how I'm going to eat a steak, and just goes in, does the technique, and then ends the video. His videos became stupidly popular because the techniques that he would use were very, very simple. They were using things that everybody has around the house, and he was making actually delicious, good food. Turns out that the dude was actually a professor of broadcast journalism in Georgia, and was explaining to his class that he has like a YouTube channel, and it's not really that popular, but he does the videos anyway, just to as an example of what people can do on stream. He ends up becoming a very popular streamer now, and he's gotten hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and now his videos have gone in the millions. And there was a new video that he did about the fact that anybody can become a YouTube star, but can you handle the fact if a video of yours goes viral? And he basically explains his own situation. So, like, he says, it's like, I started putting up these videos as a teaching tool for my students. But then one of my videos just blew up. And then another one of my videos blew up. And then apparently, since everybody really liked that one video, they started liking all of my videos. And now, all of a sudden, I was being approached by people who wanted to put ads on my channel. All of a sudden, YouTube started becoming really nice to me. The money from YouTube all of a sudden started coming in. And now I have the option to either keep teaching or just do these videos. But then there was then he started telling stories about how celebrity ruins people, and the
right. He started getting all these internet girls hitting on him. He ended up ruining his marriage and running off with a 19-year-old.
He actually uses a rock star as an example. There's a rock star, the guy from Warrant, who wrote the song Cherry Pie. I don't know, she's my cherry, that whatever. The dude only became known for that song, and everybody literally kept calling him. It's like, dude, you're the Cherry Pie guy. And he's like, yeah, that's me. I wrote that song. I wrote other stuff too. He's like, no, I was like, I really, really like that song. And he became stereotyped as the dude that does that song. That guy ended up killing himself. Because he couldn't come to grips with the fact that is all he was ever known for. So it goes back to the professor who says, it's like, look, I'm the guy that seasons my cutting board, and am I okay with that? Yes, I am, because you know what, you have to know and be comfortable enough with yourself that if somebody is going to, for years now, until years and years and years, well, that video will live on forever. Somebody's going to come to you and say, you're that guy. You're the guy that seasons cutting board. It's like, yes. If you are unaccepting or unwilling to accept that you could theoretically be pigeonholed into a particular category, then there should be no way that you should be broadcasting or putting yourself out on the internet. And that was his argument. Because it's like, if you can't live with the fame that you do end up creating for yourself, even if it is by accident, then streaming is probably a dangerous profession for you, which I thought was an interesting take on the whole thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there is nothing that can indicate for a person how they're going to deal with fame.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us will never have any experience with it. So, it's like, how would I be if I won the lottery? It's the same conversation. Everyone's like, no, I'd be totally cool. I do the same stuff, whatever. But what we see are people that win the lottery make horrible decisions, end up ruining their lives because of it. So
yeah,
fame can be very similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a two-edged sword, right? Like through fame, you can make money and be comfortable and do all sorts of other things. But you see a lot of famous people hate the fame that they've acquired because you sacrifice something like privacy, which is something you take for granted as a normal person, but no longer have the ability to deal with because you know what, you because now you're famous and everybody knows who you are. There's just no way for you to stop people from coming up to you and saying, "Hey, you're the cherry pie guy." It's like, yeah, yes, I am. How are you? And it's like, if you just want to be left alone, or if you're having a bad day or a bad mood, or you just don't want to talk to people, you can't not do it. Because in this day and age, you turn somebody down, hey, my daughter wants to really just to have a photo and an autograph with you, and you're really in a hurry and you're on your way, your time is no longer yours. Because what happens is that mom then turns around if you say no, and says, Hodo was a complete asshole. Didn't want to let my daughter take a photo with him. What a complete dickhead. And then the fame that you do end up acquiring is now gone because now
to be honest, though, she's right.
Yeah,
you are kind of
I am a dick. It is sort of true.
You don't have to be famous to know that. No, I get what you're saying. But the thing is, I think that there's like a whole thing now. Was it? Oh man, what is it called? It's not counterculture. It's anti. Oh man, it's been on the news a couple times. It's basically what Dave Chappelle is doing and everything now.
Oh yeah.
Saying you can't be famous without people coming and trying to take it from you.
Yes.
And bring you down. So
destroying people is
part of it.
Is a hobby now of people. It's like the idea that, like, all right, I'm going to be the guy that takes down Dave Chappelle, or I'm going to be the guy that takes down Louis C.K. It's like that's me. It's like I'm famous for that, and it's like it's almost like a badge of honor. It's like you're ruining people's lives. It's like, okay, because people actually are really mad at Dave Chappelle right now because of all the things that he's saying in his latest special. It's like, did you see, like, his special got a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes until Jeremy Jahns decided, it's like, yeah, that was actually really funny. It's like, I don't understand, like, why are people upset? And
yeah, but isn't that sort of what we're all at right now? This is like the season of upset, where everyone is, the PC culture is so extreme right now, and everything is just so binary. You have to be on one side or the other, and trolling is expected everywhere and supported. So what do you do with all that? It's disappointing, but it is the reality we have to deal with.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's just like, but I don't think anybody's come up with the right answer of how you deal with it. And unfortunately, it's like, it's hard to feel sad for celebrities sometimes, but that's the problem in itself. They are just normal people like everybody else. But the fact that, people don't treat them like normal people is the issue, is the fact that it's like, since you're famous, you should cater to me, or you should be, you should take your time, and I should be able to take photos with you and talk to you and do whatever I want because you're famous and you're rich. It's like,
so maybe it's a period of entitlement as well.
Very much so.
I
think very much so. I think it is. I think it's what I think people don't understand, like what is the proper way to act around a celebrity, because people lose their heads sometimes, but I think there's never been like a real like celebrities are just people too. You should just treat them like other people, but people are put on a pedestal, and they're revered for their talent, or they play a character who.
Look at the Kardashians.
Yeah,
they don't have talent.
No,
they're just revered.
They're just revered, yeah. And that, don't get me started on the Kardashians. It's that whole family got famous for one person's sex tape. and then they've just milked it into all sorts of other crazy things. And it's like business people, absolutely, they're probably some of the smartest business people with regards to being able to channel their fame into money-making ventures. Talent? Fuck no. I don't think that is talent at all. And Kylie Jenner, the model, is worth supposedly $750 million. That is insane.
This is not. It is not genius. Okay, it is someone got a lot of attention. They turn that into making money. When you have money, it's a lot easier to turn that into making more money and getting more attention. It's just a snowball, and it's a snowball for people who can get attention because of what they've got is what everyone wants. Everyone wants the super sexy body, the super amazing lifestyle, and to be able just to talk to anyone the way you want to and not give a shit.
Well, that's the thing, right? You don't get the super sexy body without working hard and being able to get like the toned abs.
Well, they bought that shit. Look at all that before they got the surgery. They bought it all. Every member of that family got something done. Some of them way more than others.
Well, that is true.
I'm not buying that.
But if you were a natural,
let me work hard. Give me a couple $1 million. You'll see how hard I work.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if I were to give you like $1 million for you to just
not a lot of money these days.
Well, it isn't.
Come on, up.
That's not more. No. Give all right. $2 million. If I were to give you $2 million, could you turn yourself 10 million? No, you don't need 10 million.
$5 million. Man, give me like $7 million. Get these cheeseburgers.
But it's just basically starting capital, right? You just want to basically focus on yourself, your body, your fitness lifestyle. So you don't necessarily work. You're just basically doing what you're doing and then telling people, yes, this is what you should be doing with your life.
Dude, you're selling the image. That's all it is. People who, if you have money and then you can not have to worry about the grind, you can spend a lot more time making your life look like it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So, like maybe you are a super workout person and you have the amazing body. You can use that to tell people, hey, you can get this too if you buy my plan or whatever. Then you make a bunch of money, which, it all sort of feeds into itself. If, however, you don't have that, but you have a bunch of money, you don't have to worry about going to your job. You can go to the gym instead, and you can actually get closer to that dream, right? You get money, you got options. If you're just grinding to like make ends meet and pay the rent, you don't have as many options. So you have to be exceptional in that case.
Well, that they say, what is it? Rent is 50% or more of a standard working person's income spend. So it's one of those things in which if people didn't have rent and they actually had the jobs that they had, they would actually get a lot farther in life, is what they say. It's just the cost of housing is crazy ridiculous, especially depending on, living where we live, for example, is an example of that. It is, but if you did not have that extra cost, people would actually be living very differently. So it's very interesting. So it's, you people have that dream of like living in the country where stuff is cheap. Problem is that in the country there are no jobs. So how are you going to live cheaply if you can't actually live there, and support yourself? So, it's a catch-22. And it's terrible.
And I'm not saying it's equal, I'm not saying that anyone can become a super Instagram person, perfect body, and become start selling everything really well. It does take some intelligence and or ability to schmooze with the right people to do whatever, get yourself out there. Or in the case that like someone wants to do like the workout thing that I use an example for, not everyone can get there. It takes a crazy amount of work to get your body to look like that. Even if you had all the time in the day and never had to think about money at all, it's still very, very difficult. But just having that step ahead and not having some of those things to worry about, it's pretty significant.
It is pretty significant, and you get the head start of people who really actually want to do it but have nothing or any capital to start off with. So they use that advantage, and then they get even farther ahead, and then people try to emulate what they do, spend a lot of capital trying to do so, and then they can't do it, and they realize that it's like, maybe they were either late to the party or it's just not something that they could do. So,
hey man, I had a friend when I was working over the Middle East. I went to his house for a dinner party, and I went to use the restroom, and I walked through the bedroom to get to the bathroom, and I saw there was a bunch of lighting equipment and cameras and all kinds of stuff like that in the bedroom. And so I didn't say anything at the time, and later in the week I talked to him at work. I was like, hey man, I don't want to like push into your personal life too much, but like, are you making porn? Like, is it like your side gig? And he's like, oh, he got so red in the face. He's like, no, sorry. My significant other wants to be a YouTube personality, and we bought all this stuff, invested a bunch of money in it, and it's just not going anywhere. And I was like, oh, okay, well, at least if you want to make the transition, you got the porn stuff too.
But that's it, right? Like, hundreds of thousands of people start channels like us, Joe Schmoes, who, just want to have fun on stream and something like that. Some people catch on, some people don't. And and that unfortunately is like what happens on YouTube sometimes. It's like you try and want to be the star, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, and you could invest a lot of money into it and then it just not go anywhere. So so it's a scary thought, because like if you really do want to become a YouTube star and become and be that as your main job, there are a lot of things that a lot of other YouTubers, they say you're happy is like, oh, we want to collaborate with you and do all sorts of other stuff, but there are a lot of YouTubers who see you as rivals. So
right now, dude, they're trying to bite off you. Collaborate, yeah. Please. They want your viewership.
That's exactly what it is. So it's one of those things in which you just sort of have to be careful, because like you could end up hooking up with like a person who says it's like, oh, I'm going to be able to help you out, but instead it's like just using you for their personal viewership.
Or they drag you down, because not everyone's meant for this.
That's exactly right. So lots of interesting stuff here when it comes to streaming and YouTube in general and all this other crazy stuff. So, but. Yeah, I mean, it is a weird world out there when it comes to this. So, like, part of my job right now is trying to see whether or not these types of people who are on YouTube, people who have a moderate following, but not necessarily the biggest following, like, can we turn them into product machines? That is the theory, is like, can we turn these people into influencers who can motivate businesses to change things so that they, using them as advertisement, influence and build up businesses for people. There are lots of stories that you hear about companies who has a guy film a video of their chandelier or something like that. It's like, oh, next time you're in Paris or something, like, you have to stop at this place, and it got like 1.5 million views, and then all of a sudden the dude's like nonstop. People are always coming in and visiting and trying to see the true power of like the influencer and stuff. Can you turn that though into a money making opportunity if you are like a travel blogger or a YouTuber who does have a following and can maybe make people do things that you tell them that are fun and exciting? That is currently what I'm trying to do right now at work. So.
Well, I mean, if you give people the opportunity and you foot the bill, you get them to do some pretty cool stuff.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, again, it is about flipping the bill. It's like how it's like a lot of.
Who do you invest in, right?
That is right. Like, a lot of companies have. There was a statistic recently that said like Fortune 500 companies, 1 in 5 have thrown money at influencers to see whether or not it can affect their business overall as a whole. Out of those people, only 10% actually see a rise in business because of a certain person interacting with your business and influence and doing it. So it's almost like advertising. In a way, it's like, you can send the same money, put it on TV, and still see the same uptick. It's a matter of where do you want to actually put your money as an advertiser. So it's very interesting to just see companies try to see, like, is it just cooler to invest in a influencer, or should we just do the traditional method and just put ourselves on TV, spend the same amount of money, and get the same amount of response? So just like,
yeah. Let us know as you figure out. I'm interested in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Only because the psychology of it and the business part of it, I guess, is cool too. But for me, if there's a system to know who is going to be popular on the internet and who isn't, that'd be pretty valuable to be able to be someone like that who picks and who can point at someone and say, that person's going to be it.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, that's like the magic, having the magic wand to be able to turn somebody famous is one of those things in which every person would love to have. And some people believe that they have the formula of how to do it, but it's not necessarily the case. So, but it is interesting. So, but yeah, it'll be the way that this thing at work is going to like sort of pan out is going to be very interesting, because just to be able to see whether or not you can turn somebody into a viable marketing opportunity is interesting in itself, and then being able to then basically break down, like, they're good at this, or they're good at that, they're good at this, and then using that information to possibly help them become better YouTube stars, or bloggers, or all sorts of other things. It's very interesting. So they themselves are getting a free research as to what is going on with their interactions with people, and along the way, I'm also learning like how people on the internet interact with who they believe is telling them something that they should be listening to, because the reason that they listen to these people is most of the time not necessarily to buy something, but to find a trick that will help them in something that they're doing on a regular basis. And if it involves them spending money to do so, I think they're willing to do it, which is the side effect that we really want. So.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, it's like conditioning behavior from people to spend money when a person says something. It's almost Pavlovian. It's like, oh, he said that I should buy this, I'm going to buy this. It's like, can we do that? It's like, maybe.
Oprah effect.
Yeah, it is the Oprah effect. It absolutely. Oprah was probably one of the first few big time influencers. Like, putting her stamp on anything literally gave your product an aura of viability and trust. If Oprah likes it, you definitely should buy it. But you know what? Oprah Winfrey is also responsible for? Jenny McCarthy. It was Jenny McCarthy who spouted that bullshit about vaccines, and you know where she did it? On the Oprah Winfrey Show. And Oprah Winfrey is also responsible for quacks like Dr. Oz. And who is that guy that gives ridiculous advice with the mustache? Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, that asshole came from Oprah Winfrey too. So Oprah Winfrey is basically this is a warning for people about influencers. Like, the people that you do trust can sometimes give you idiots that will do irreparable harm to society as a whole, in order for them to also make a buck. So Oprah Winfrey makes money every time Dr. Oz does a show. Oprah Winfrey makes money
She makes money out of everything. She's making money off of you and me talking. That's Oprah Winfrey. That's how good she is.
Yeah, but she is a producer on the Dr. Phil show. She's a producer on The Doctors, which is the Dr. Oz show. I mean, like, you know, she is a mogul, but the thing about it is it's been proven that some of these shows just give quack advice. So, you know, it is always going to be buyer beware when it comes to listening to people about what you should be able to get. So yeah, I think I've ranted on that enough.
Well, maybe one day we can come back here a few years from now and talk about how our journey was rising to the top.
Rising to the top of Twitch. Yes, absolutely. You know, in the meantime, I'm doing like game broadcasting to make sure that I stay fresh and I'm able to keep talking, because, you know, I never realized, like, when I first started doing all of this stuff, like Twitch and game casting, it's like, it's not natural for a lot of people to just keep going, to keep talking, and to just consistently try to keep thoughts spitting out of your head. It was funny. I was with my friend, ex-coworker, who was I was catching up with at a baseball game, and at the time, the Nationals had already been eliminated from the playoffs. So there was no reason to be at this game other than me and my friend trying to catch up after he had left, and me trying to figure out like what he's been doing. And we were talking like normal people, and, you know, we were just telling stories and doing all sorts of other stuff. And this dude turns around and he's like, "You should be on radio." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's like, "You just hasn't stopped talking, and we've just been listening to you the entire time during this game. You just won't stop." And this guy was being an asshole.
You just won't shut up.
Yeah, this guy was being an asshole, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Just, you know, you don't have to fucking listen." And I'm not even yelling, so, dude, what the fuck is your problem? He eventually left, and my friend was just like, "I don't know what that dude's problem." But it was the first time I realized that, you know, maybe I could actually talk consistently and maybe do some weird casting stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. And that's what, you know, eventually ended up motivating me to be like, oh, all right, this dickhead who is watching the Nationals not do anything and basically be terrible is now insulting me just because he's fucking upset that his crap baseball team isn't winning. But maybe let me see if I can actually maybe be like a sports broadcaster. And that's when I started doing Overwatch. And Overwatch is by far the hardest game to call just because the action is so fast and there are no breaks. So it's like calling a hockey game. And it was, and you know, and it's got me started in all of this, the whole stuff. So it was really neat. In a way, it's like it took that jerk to let me find something I really enjoy doing. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, well, the Nationals are doing really well right now.
Yeah, but I still hate them as a team for the reason that those people, the Nationals got a stadium before DC United got a stadium. Now, if anybody knows the history of sports in the city of DC, every sports team in the city fucking sucks, except for the Washington Capitals, who try, but never seem to achieve the final goal. They did it recently, won the Stanley Cup. Very, very cool, and was very happy about it. Like, they had a parade and everything. It was great. But every other team in this city is just effing terrible. And the only team that was winning championships during the time before baseball came here were the soccer teams, DC United. But because it's soccer, people refuse to put any money into it. So, you know, DC would ask to you know, basically do what other teams do, like the Redskins and the Caps. Like, you know, they revamped downtown DC to build Verizon Center or whatever, Capital One Arena, whatever the hell it's called now, to give better facilities to the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals. And at the time, the Washington Wizards, and still at the time, the Washington Wizards are terrible. They are an awful basketball team that can do nothing. But they were willing to spend $300 million to build them a stadium. Now, it was a revamp job in D.C. that has actually paid off, and now downtown D.C. is actually really nice. So when D.C. United comes in and asks for $20 million for their championship-winning team to build a soccer-only stadium, the city laughs at them. Even though there is, a good amount of ground that they can build in Southeast DC. All right. They say, it's like, oh, okay, the city won't pay for anything. All right, let's try see if we can pay it ourselves, go into the investment. Next thing you know, the Montreal Expos, a terrible baseball team that has never won anything, decides to leave Montreal, and the city of DC is willing to pay $400 million to build them a new stadium. What?
Yeah, where did that money come from?
Yeah, where the hell does that money come from? And then the team ends up getting bought by billionaires who doesn't need the $400 million, but the city is still willing to invest that money. And it's just like, no, I will never support you. Because the outrageous spending of money because of it is just awful. And people can argue with me all they want about it. It's about, the stadium actually started to revamp the Southeast DC. Yeah, that's great. You could have gotten that started off a lot earlier if you would have put $20 million into a soccer stadium. You would have done the exact same thing. You would have saved yourself $375 million. It's like, what are you guys doing? It's like, yeah, I don't know. So it, to me, that is just money that was just not spent appropriately at the right time. So yeah, whatever. And me ranting about soccer teams in DC. So, and with that, our viewership has now dropped.
Well, I mean, it's the same stuff going on with Amazon coming in. It's like a lot of tax breaks and incentives for companies to come in,
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, taxpayers pay for it, and they didn't need it, really.
So the thing about it is that I am conflicted about the whole Amazon thing, because yeah, taxpayers come for Amazon, and Amazon doesn't pay any taxes with regards to what is going on. But in a way, Amazon is still hiring people and giving jobs to the people that live in the area. So, in a way that benefits people, at least here in the area. So at least there's that. Am I upset that they pay 0% tax in Arlington? No. Am I upset? Yes, I am, because they should be contributing something, but contributing nothing is terrible. It's like what? It's like, how do you get away with that? So, I don't know. It's like,
yeah, we'll see.
Did you know that at one point Jeff Bezos was making like $160 million a month in income? A month.
That's more than me, man.
It's like he's worth 150 billion. It's just, but I was reading the statistic of like him on a high or something, like at the height of the stock climb on Amazon, and it was just fascinating. It's like he was making more money in a month than some countries were making as their GDP. It's like, good Lord.
Tax that man.
Yeah, I know. He has so much money, he can't spend it fast enough. It's like if he were to throw $1 million out the window, as long as he was going to work while he was doing it, he would be making more money than he would be throwing out the window. Did you know that?
I mean, it's funny, but it's also not funny at all.
No, it is not funny at all. In a way, it is very sad, because he's basically cornering money to himself, like money that could be literally evenly distributed amongst other people through businesses and all sorts of other things, is being all funneled to him. And
I just think that, like, if 2 months of your salary could, like, end homelessness in America or solve the Flint water crisis,
you saw the statistics too. Yeah, the Flint water crisis could be solved with $50 million, which is 2 weeks worth of Jeff Bezos.
I didn't see this. It's just
Yeah.
what I thought. And
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, they said that Jeff Bezos by himself could end homelessness if he were just to contribute $10 million a month from his $160 million salary. Jeff Bezos by himself could do that. They were saying about the Flint water crisis. The state of Michigan refuses to invest the amount of money to fix the pipes for Flint. That cost is, I think, somewhere in the $50 to $60 million range. And they said that like Jeff Bezos could literally do that with 2 weeks worth of work. So there was all sorts of other statistics that was broken out, and I can't remember what show it's from, but it was sort of crazy that like the man has that much wealth and it generates, and it's not just the wealth he has, it's the amount of wealth he generates, which is the staggering thing. So like because they could just use the generated wealth to solve social ills, because he can make so much money at one time. It is pretty crazy. So I don't know if it was Patriot Act or maybe it was Daily Show or something like that. But they were the ones that had they had this graphic, up that was just ridiculous. It's crazy. So, yeah, all right. Hey Tim, we've gone for about an hour 15 at this point. Oh, we can keep going. It's like, how do you feel? How's your jaw doing? I don't know if I've been doing most of the talking.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm good here. Just winding down the evening, so I'm good with whatever.
Yeah, we had a high of I think 6 people came in to watch. It's pretty cool. Probably people who were watching the Owlet talk show that I had about 15 minutes before I got on here. So maybe some remnants of that, because I do stream this on my channel.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. It's a good place to stop, I think, talking about Jeff Bezos being so wealthy that he could end homelessness. So, thank you for joining us on this Freeform Thursday, listening to our basically stream of thoughts as we wind down this Thursday evening, trying to figure out like what we're going to do. Anybody interested? Great football game tomorrow evening at 7:00. The Virginia Tech Hokies will take on the Duke Blue Devils. Battle of two teams who are 2-1 in the ACC Coastal Division. So very, 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 very fun to watch. But as always, thank you so much for watching us here this evening on Twitchline. You can always email us at twitchlinelove@gmail.com. And also, if you want, you can also tweet us at Twitchline. Any articles, things you want us to talk about, topics that maybe you want some advice on, we're always open to listening to your suggestions. As always, we're also streaming on YouTube right now. You can watch us on YouTube at Twitchline. Just search Twitchline Relationship Help and Advice, and you'll find our channel. Hit the subscribe so that you know when we go live. And you can watch our archive of older shows available for everyone there to watch. You can also take us on the go if you have a phone, mobile device, iPad, anything that you want. Just search on the SoundCloud, search Twitchline Relationship Advice, and you'll see all of our previous shows that we catch on there. But for Mr. Acorn, I am Hodo. Thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. Join us again on Wednesdays, where we do our normal Twitch 10 p.m. Reddit read-offs, while we try to see if we can help the people of Reddit solve their problems, and we go through emails, as well as our Sunday Focus segments, which might be on a little bit of a delay, as there are issues, personal things that both of us are going through that we will need Sunday evenings sometimes to deal with. So therefore, we might be putting a bit of a hiatus here, a couple weeks or so, on the Sunday Focus segments, as we try to sort of catch back up, and we will try to do those on a regular basis. But we haven't done them in a couple weeks, but we will try our best to get back on track. But for Acorn, I'm Hodo. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Good night, everyone.